to my water signs Cancer, Scorpio and Pisces. Welcome to the Taurus Lunar Eclipse. You'll find the timestamps for your rising sign listed below. Hello Cancer rising. Well, I'm not sure if these are horoscopes or if they're just like deep chats. But we're going to talk about the lunar eclipse in Taurus, which is happening on Sunday the 29th of October at 7:24 a.m. if you're using Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. And the repercussions of the Libra solar eclipse are permeating and rolling through, and this feeling of injustice is palpable. And I want to fully acknowledge and respect the grief of the current moment. I want to fully respect and acknowledge the importance of using our words wisely at this time. I really don't like the slot machine of the current media, the way that we ingest information, the way that we put our 2 cents in, the way that we're addicted to more. The paradox I understand is that I'm speaking to you through a screen. I get that very sincerely, and I wish that it was a different way. At this current moment, it's how I earn my bucks. So it's what I'm going to do. And I also know that there's 2 sides to every coin. And so as much as I detest the structure of our current information superhighway, the other side of that coin is that we do have access to one another. We do have access to learning about things that we're interested in. We do have the ability to connect, perhaps if we're far, far, far away from each other too. And so for that, I'm really thankful. I really want to acknowledge and honor the grief of the current moment. I've been putting my makeup on and taking it off, and putting it on and taking it off. And I had to wait until it was really windy outside. You can hear it, that air swirling, for me to get these messages clear in my head and to feel a sense of pride in what it is that I do for a living. Sometimes in times of crisis, work like this can feel pretty arbitrary. You can think to yourself, well, okay, great, you witnessed the pain, now what? Oh, you can see the pattern of the current crisis, sick, now what? Doesn't stop it, doesn't stop the heartbreak, the pain, the anguish, the violence. I do this work to give my life context. I do this work to reflect. And I do this work to create space for us to have a moment. These eclipses in Taurus and in Scorpio since November of 2021 have been bringing with them such tremors in regard to our sense of safety and grounding, and to our deepest, darkest resources of emotions. There's been things that have come to light, dredged up from the depths. There's been instability. There's been worry about resources. There's been worry about having enough. And there's also been the opportunity to witness how folks react in crisis. What I like about this final lunar eclipse in Taurus is that it does give us that opportunity to reflect on our lives and ourselves, who we were in November of 2021, who we are now. If I look at your birth chart, Cancer rising, Taurus and Scorpio represent your 11th house of your community, your friendship, your good fortune, and your 5th house of your individual self-expression And so I could imagine that there might have been moments, or there are moments, where you feel voiceless, where you feel silenced, where you feel that you've had to set down your preoccupations, your creativity, your access to magic, to art, in order to tend to the issues, the problems of our collapsing community structures, of our sense of dwindling humanity or faith in humanity. I imagine there's been countless nights that you've sat up praying because you're beautiful. I really love that the moon is your guiding light, cancerrising. I really like the regularity and the swiftness of your emotional impulses. More than anyone, you feel the effects of the moon on its 28-day cycle around the zodiac, the many shades and colours that can represent. When it comes to a full moon or a new moon, you're there. You know how to work with it. When it comes to eclipses, you can probably feel that jarring sense all the greater. I'll remind you, it's the last lunar eclipse in Taurus, and there won't be another lunar eclipse in Taurus near the dragon's head for another 20 years. Culmination. Perhaps the end of your limitation, your creative output, your access to pleasure, your access to fun, your access to the little version of you, the one that existed long, long ago, that was chill and emotional and cried when they wanted to and loved what they wanted to. We're going to be feeling more agitation about the ineffective ways that people are expressing themselves at the moment. We might be feeling a little bit of anger towards those that are speaking out of turn or speaking in circles. This feeling of injustice doesn't stop at the Libra eclipse. It rolls on, it continues. But maybe after this lunation, there might be a sense of clearing for you, Cancer rising, around that gag order, or that fear of it fully expressing yourself. I really hope that there will be. The planet Mars has been in Scorpio since that last eclipse 2 weeks ago. Mars is good in Scorpio. Mars does things to Scorpio. I don't know if you can feel it. I definitely can feel the presence of Mars in Scorpio right now. If that sword and shield is good for Aries as far as leadership and as far as bravery, that's intensity in Scorpio. That's passion. That's bravery with our emotions. That red of Mars speaks to the sexuality of Scorpio. If we separate our body into the zodiac, which we can do, Aries is the head, down to Pisces in the feet, and Scorpio is the genitals, the root chakra, the base. That's a great area of the body to express yourself, I might say, Cancer rising, don't you? Pleasure can be an act of resistance. Pleasure can be an act of revolution too. In a world that is rapidly compartmentalizing and separating and subdividing, there's a lot of us that will find each other, the ones that have been cast out, set aside, not welcome. We'll find one another. And as my friend Max Bookbinder always says, our existence is an act of resistance too. If we're going to talk about tarot and this moon, then the sun in Scorpio at 5 degrees speaks to the 5 of Cups. It's time to wear black. It's time to grieve. It's time to feel the sense of loss after such injustice. We know that those 2 cups behind this figure in black, they represent you, cancerrising. They represent your belief in love. They represent your skill at love. The 2 of Cups in tarot is a Cancer card. They also know that this moment is essential, because if we can feel it, finally, if we take ourselves out of the mind and we find ourselves finally in the body, and we feel the grief. At 5 degrees of Taurus, where the moon is, in your 11th house of community and belonging, is the 5 of Pentacles. I empathize with that character with the bell around their neck. That's a leper. They used to put a bell around a leper's neck so we'd know they were coming. Isn't that disgusting? The pentacles make up the stained glass window of the church. The warmth, the piety that exists behind that window is not on offer to the folks in the street. No shoes, walking in the snow. How dare they? How dare they not extend the invitation? How dare they not practice what they preach? You do, cancerrising. You always do. I'm going to get some tarot, I think. Express yourself, cancerrising. Make art, make love, make pleasure, make joy. Use your body. Enjoy your body. Feel your body. Look at those two together. In this version of the tarot, my most prized possession, this deck, was given to me by a friend it was given to them by a friend who found it for $1 in an op shop. And I have no way of knowing who made it. There's no access to the artist. So I can't tell you what deck it is. But in this version, the Hierophant, which in other versions is the Pope, is the holy, holy one. Hierophant hierarchy. Big red hat shaped like a dick. In this one, it's a wise woman with a set of keys and a set of tools. She knows things and you can believe her. She works with magic. She works with opening doorways. She works with her hands. She's nothing more, nothing less than a bridge from that world to this world, as above, so below. And maybe in this limiting time that you've been having about your access to a community, your access to your pleasure, you've been hiding, you've been hermiting, you've been keeping to yourself, but you've been keeping your own bridge open. Perhaps you've been receiving information from this wise woman. Perhaps you can start to bring some of that down, that bridge, into the real world. And you can start to work with your body and your spirituality at the same time. One of my great friends and one of my favorite artists, Peaches, one of her most successful songs was called Fuck the Pain Away. Pretty wild. She wrote it at a time when she was coming to grips with a diagnosis that was really jarring and unspeakable. And since then, she's used her body, her root, to make magic, to connect. Turn it up. Turn the radio up. Get the beat happening. Dance. Dance. Feel it out. Things are going to change. Things are going to grow. You've been diligently planting, babe, by yourself, hoping, wishing, keeping the faith. Let the banshee out. Howl at the moon. You're an animal. Howl. That's your reading, Cancerrising. I'm going to be with you in 2 weeks, and we're going to be taking a further journey with Scorpio, with Mars, with the root chakra, your 5th house, your pleasure zone, a place where we've had no say-so for the past 2 years, a place now that the time is ripe to start making some magic. So I'll speak to you then. You can get your birth chart read by me at umaruby.com. They look like that little drawing. If you'd like to support my work here in horoscope land, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/umaruby and you can subscribe for 10 Australian dollars a month, or you can throw some money in the tip jar if it's available to you. I love you very much. I'll speak to you soon. Hello, Scorpio rising. I'm not so sure if this is a horoscope or maybe just like a deep chat. We are going to talk about the final lunar eclipse in Taurus, which is occurring for us on the 29th of October at 7:24 a.m. if you're using Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. We are going to be speaking about a journey that we've been taking since November of 2021, so maybe around your birthday. We are going to be speaking about loss and grief and shedding and sorrow. And so I hope that in this conversation, there's some sort of moment of reflection for you. Hopefully this will give your life the trials and tribulations of the journey to this point Hopefully it will give you some context. This is magical work that I do. The sentiment of as above, so below really sticks in the craw at times of such difficulty and sadness and injustice. It's really takes a lot of recentering to believe in fairies again in times like this. You know this really well, Scorpio rising. The last 2 years nearly has seen an enforced shedding in the way that you relate to people, your long-standing relationships, the way that you come together. It's not been easy, and maybe we can look forward to the future together, because the astrology tells us that the dragon's head has moved away. This is the final eclipse in your 7th house of the other. There won't be another lunar eclipse in Taurus near the dragon's head for another 20 years. And I don't say that to say it's all smooth sailing from here, your relationships are going to fly. I'm saying all of this to you for in this moment, right now, let's reflect. Let's find some context for the chaos. Let's look at the cards, let's look at the sky, and feel that we belong in there somewhere. I put my makeup on, and I took it off, and I put it on, and I took it off. I've been attempting to find the words to see what would be worth saying in times such as these. Through chaos, it can sort of take your breath away. And it takes a lot of beautiful, honest energy to believe in this sort of stuff too. I understand that. Skepticism is really valid. And loving and lighting can be really ineffective, bordering on offensive when you're in pain. So I'm not going to do that for you, Scorpio rising. If we do look at the tarot to talk about the sky at this final eclipse, at 5 degrees of Scorpio is the sun. Scorpio season. And the tarot card that speaks to that part of the sky is the 5 of Cups. Big grief, big sorrow, big loss. We wear black. We clutch our proverbial rosary and we cry. Opportunities lost. Denial. Things that have had to go, have had to go. We don't pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and move on through. We thank our body for feeling it this time. Sometimes there's 2 of me. I stand next to myself, and the gaseous version of myself, the invisible one, is the mind on autopilot, moving through life. Body numb, untouchable, can't feel anything. Dissociation's awful to experience. But I don't feel that now. I feel really connected to my body right now. I feel the pain. I feel the blood run through my veins. Mars is in Scorpio, has been since the Libra eclipse of injustice. Mars is your guiding light, Scorpio rising. Mars is the planet that brings colour and texture and passion to your emotional intensity. Mars brings with it a feeling of connectivity to our core, to our root, the house of the body that plants us. If we were to dissect the body in terms of the zodiac, Scorpio rules the genitals, the base of ourselves. Mars in Scorpio speaks of passion to me. And at this final eclipse, Mars will be in opposition with Jupiter in Taurus in your 7th. So there's hope, faith, the future with Jupiter. There might be some stitches that we can start to sew to get you back in the body, get you back into a feeling of potential in your 7th house. The sun is in Scorpio at 5 degrees. The moon is in Taurus at 5 degrees. Uninvited, not welcome, door closed. This is one of the most difficult cards to work with in tarot, and it's also one of the most valuable. The folks in the front, one with a bell around their neck, the leper, they used to put a bell around a leper's neck so you'd know they were coming. Isn't that disgusting? And the church, the pentacles of the stained glass window, the warmth and piety and sanctuary that's not on offer to these two folks in the front. I know who I identify with, Scorpio. Do you? It's okay, darling. I understand. This feeling of being shut out, unwelcome, not wanted, is such a difficult one to reconcile. But when we have Mars in our corner, when we have our sword and our shield, in our house of the soul, first house, rising intention. Who am I? What am I here for? Who's protecting me? Am I worth protecting? Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. 2 years, a lot can happen, a lot can change, a lot can fall off. A lot can be rejected, denied, stopped. But your body is still here. The moon speaks to our body, Scorpio rising. It speaks to how we feel. You're an expert at emotions, Scorpio rising. I hate eclipses, they suck. Rapidly realizing that. But let's go through it together. Let's batten down the hatches. Let's remind ourselves that we're alive. You can touch yourself, hug yourself, tickle yourself at this eclipse. I'm not saying any of this to predict anything, babe. I'm saying it to give you some sense of context or hope. It's what Jupiter does. hope, faith. I'm going to get you some tarot. And I will suggest that maybe you take it easy at this eclipse. The moon will be really full the night before on the Saturday, which will be the 28th of October. So go gently. And if you don't want to go, then don't. Mercury is in Scorpio too, so one more thing maybe to talk about. I don't like the way that we relate to one another sometimes, and I don't like the way that we are addicted to the slot machine of social media, and I don't like the way that the town square seems to be vast and wide, and that folks put in their 2 cents in like scattergun rhythm. Sometimes the thud of shock and reality needs a moment to be felt rather than to be reacted to and then a scroll on by. So because Mercury is like the voice box, the way that we communicate, in a conjunction with Mars, there might be some more bullshit to tend to as far as people speaking before they think. So just keep that in your back pocket too, honey. Where are you going? You're going on a trip? Are you leaving? You're packing a bag? You're out of here? I got the 5 of Pentacles again. It's in the past. It's 2 versions of the same card. This card has come out in the past. This card has come out as something that we're leaving behind. This feeling of rejection or isolation, or a feeling of being unwelcome, uninvited, not worth it, not important. We're stepping away from this. And so I'll ask you again, where are you going? Have you got a plan yet? Or are you just going to wander? There's a moth on this card too. It came out for, I can't remember which sign. But the moth reminds me of just a couple of days ago. I was out the back in the shed and I heard this thud, thud, thud on the window. And there was a moth that was trapped inside the shed. And I thought, oh gosh, poor thing. So I went in to go and try and shoo it outside, to move it. I turned the light on and tried to tend to it, but it wasn't having it. It sort of flew away from me and hid up against the wall, putting its wings out in camouflage. And I got a bit stressed. But then I remembered we are all wild animals. We are all survivors. We'll all find our way. So I just turned the light off and I left the door open, flew out straight away and followed the moon. So if you're out of here and you're feeling a bit scared about that, but you know it's the right thing to do, if you're journeying on an adventure, then be like the moth. You'll find your way. You just need to trust your instinct. It seems like this is pretty deep journeying too. I would suggest to you that if you're running away from yourself, it's not going to work. But if after this eclipse experience of the past 20 months, nearly 2 years, has had you realign with yourself. Perhaps there's been parts of your soul's mission that has had to fall away, had to shed, and you're new again. You're out of the chrysalis, you are that moth, and you've looked around and it's the environment that is not serving you any longer. If that's the case, babe, then I trust you. Go, 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 fly, fly, fly. But if you're running away from a feeling of sorrow inside or emptiness, sorry, darling, I know from experience that's going to follow you wherever you go. So maybe in stillness or in times where you're feeling powerless, really give into it. Really give into it. And see what becomes illuminated. See if you can see in the dark. I trust you, Scorpio rising. And I trust that you're on the right journey. You've done super well. And for this last eclipse in Taurus, you have my absolute permission to tell everyone to fuck off. No, I'm not coming. I don't want to. I actually don't want to. No reason. Plenty of reasons. But respect my boundary. We're all reacting in different ways to this global trauma. Some people really need to be together. They need to be sort of around one another. Other people need to be alone. Other people vacillate between the two. If you're going to be around people, make sure they're people that love you and see you and wish to help protect you. Obligations no more. It's unnecessary. I love you, Scorpio rising. Let me read your birth chart. Head to umaruby.com. I'll draw you one. They look like that. And I'll read it to you. And then it's yours to keep at the end. You can support my work here in horoscope land at buymeacoffee.com/umaruby. There's a link downstairs. And you can subscribe to the channel for $10, 10 Australian dollars a month. And that keeps me going. That keeps me in flow. If money's tight, you can also just throw a couple of bucks in the tip jar too. It's all received with love and affection. I understand that things are really tight at the moment, and this work, I wish to remain free and free of advertising, free of strangers yelling at us, free of people selling us things. I know that's a paradox because I just gave you a sales pitch for myself. You caught me out. Ha ha. All right. Rest, rest, rest. I'll be with you in 2 weeks, and we're going to speak about the new moon in Scorpio, free of the dragon, all about you, a night for magic. Happy Halloween for the 31st too. The veil's thin. Hello, Pisces rising. Now, I'm not so sure if this is a horoscope. Maybe, probably, it's a bit more of like a deep, deep chat. I am feeling the instability of eclipse season very, very, very intently. We're going to talk about the final lunar eclipse in Taurus, the final lunar eclipse in Taurus near the Dragon's Head for the next 20 years. We're going to be journeying down into your house of the goddess, your house of witchcraft. And we're going to be speaking about the journey that brought us here. From November of 2021, we're going to be talking about the limitation to our freedom. We're going to be talking about that feeling of being held in place, that feeling of that place being unstable, that growing feeling of being unwelcome is something we're going to talk about too. I also really want to hold space for the grief that is palpable across the world right now. I want to think back to that Libra eclipse 2 weeks ago and that thud of injustice. I've been having a difficult time putting the words to what I've been feeling to give you these readings this time around, Pisces rising. I've put my makeup on like 3 times and I had to wait for the wind outside to pick up. And now it's dead silent. It's funny, I'm on a roll now. I've been thinking a lot about my practice too. And my 3rd house of the goddess of witchcraft, of lessons shared with voice rather than with the written word. I've been thinking about my life in regard to that, and I've been thinking about how I've been feeling held in place, limited in my movement. I've been thinking about the plans that were set up and blown apart when trying to find a safe space for my own, trying to find a village that would have me, that would welcome me in. And it's been really tough. I've been thinking about this work as being a compulsion for me over the past 2 years now. I've been thinking about how this way of reading the galaxy has given my life a bit of context. And it's been a great way to reflect on the past with an open mind rather than with a continual voice of self-deprecation and failure. I've been thinking a lot about the feeling of failure that permeates right now, the feeling of injustice. I've also been thinking about the 3rd house in regard to how we communicate. And I've been thinking about the slot machine that is social media. I've been thinking about the town square full of dead shits saying whatever they please. I've been thinking a lot about people speaking before they feel it and then moving on. I've been thinking about the way that the intellectual mind, the world of the brain, takes precedence in our current times rather than empathy, rather than feeling, rather than our water. The age of air is coming. Technology, insight, science, intellectualism, artificial intelligence. It's not a world that I belong in. I don't get it. I'd like to think that people would stop before they speak on issues that don't affect them. I'd like for us to step back into the Pisces fluidity. I know that I'm speaking to my crowd. I know it's been really difficult, Pisces rising. I know that there's a feeling of being so ultra absorbent to the pain. I also know that we are witches and that these eclipses in our house of the goddess have been serving us in some way. Compulsive, rhythmic, repetitious ritual, candles burning, peace prayed for. I know that there's something about moving around and the free-spiritedness that has been limited There's been limits put on that. There's maybe been something about your sense of intelligence or your right to speak, your right to put things down. I'm not a professional. I'm actually a bit dumb. I'm not really good at this. What do I know? Why would anyone want to read what I've got to write? That could all be happening too. What I do know is that Mars has entered Scorpio, has been there since the last Libra eclipse of gross injustice. And that Mars in Scorpio is right at home. Mars in Scorpio brings us passion, welcomes us back to our root, welcomes us back to our body. If the sword and the shield of Mars are protecting us and stoking our passion again, Pisces rising, then I hope you can feel it too. I know I sure can. I've been working a lot with Lilith lately. Lilith is in my first house in my birth chart. There were parts of me that I put aside. There were ways that I used to work with my root chakra, my sexuality. I used to express myself with my body. I used to make art with my body. I used to move the energy of a room with my body. And there was a period of time where I felt such shame for that. I felt that the criticism of fascists of the outside world had permeated my consciousness, and their shame was mine to carry. I don't know about you, but I don't feel like that anymore. I'm proud of my witch mark. I'm proud of where it is on my body. I'm proud that this gives my life purpose, context, reflection. I'm really proud of the friends that I've made through the screen. I feel lucky and grateful that you decided to stop at my slot machine. And hopefully now, as this is the final eclipse in Taurus, we can start to move some of that feeling of being unwelcome or not smart enough or stupid. There's a lot to be said for the trauma of the witch. There's a lot to be said for fear of expressing oneself through magical practices because of the imminent death that waited for our ancestors. There's a lot to be said for the world right now, or what I'm doing, that hang me on a hook. We're powerful when we stick together, Pisces rising. We're powerful when we dance with the goddess. If the sun is at 5 degrees of Scorpio, we're working with this grief. We're working with this shroud of sadness. We can feel the injustice on behalf of our community, on behalf of our global community. We can feel the anguish of consistent oppression on our shoulders, on our backs. But Mars protects us. The moon is at 5 degrees of Taurus, our house of the goddess, our house of the witch. The 5 of Pentacles has us shut out. There's no sanctuary here for us. We're not permitted. We're not welcome. There's a bell around the leper's neck. Can you imagine? So everyone could hear that they were coming. We do terrible things to each other. But the witch knows. The witch knows how to work. The witch knows how to release. Mars at 11 degrees of Scorpio. Jupiter at 11 degrees of Taurus. Hope. Faith. I believe in your work. I believe in your magic, Pisces rising. I believe that you're telling the truth. I believe that you work from empathy and kindness and pleasure and ecstasy. I believe that you want us all to swim together. I believe that you see my tail. I believe that you see my horns. I believe that you think my fangs are beautiful. I believe that you love the smell of my fur. I believe you. You're doing the right thing. You are not what they say. You are not what they say. They are what they say. They are the ones that are frightened. They are the ones that can't dance with their own devil. I don't believe in the devil, but I believe that there is a devil in each of us. And I've danced with my devil, and I have worshipped my devil, and I love my devil, and my devil loves me. We dance together. Their name's Pan. They make me feel alive. They make me feel that I'm beautiful. They make me feel that I'm welcome. They make me feel that I belong here. And I'm sorry that other people have such a hard time with their devil. I really do, but their devil is not my devil. Their devil is not my devil any longer. I take that necklace off. It's not mine. I prefer silver. I love you, Pisces rising, and you're doing the right thing. Don't be ashamed. Find your witch mark. Find where it is in your body and be proud. Be proud that you're marked, my darling. We're all going to be just fine. Let's get some tarot. Lilith was cast out too. Lilith wasn't a bottom. And Adam couldn't take it. They said that she ate babies after. They're saying that we eat babies now. They said that Uma ate babies too in the Hindu. A lot of eating of babies. A lot of... I've never even thought about eating a baby. I'll be honest with you. Sometimes you laugh. We can laugh. Hang us on a hook, we'll laugh. We'll laugh because we're witches. We see things that you don't, and that frightens you. We make you feel things that frighten you. We heal things that you want to destroy. We laugh because we're witches. Try and keep us down. We know magic. We know how to work with it. It's all around us. We know magic, and we know what it feels like to love. We know magic, and we know what it feels like to love. Our bodies, our choice. Me too. Black Lives Matter. You can't hold us down any longer. Throw me in the water. I'll float. This stops with us, Pisces rising. This hatred stops with us. I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. I love you, I love you, I love you. Let me read your birth chart. You can find me over at umaruby.com. I'll draw you one. They look like that. And it's yours to keep after we're done. If you'd like to support my work here in Horoscope Land, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/umaruby and you can subscribe for 10 Australian dollars a month to keep me going. You can also just throw some change in the tip jar if that's all you have to give. I respect and I receive you with love and with kindness, Pisces rising. We're going to move through this muck. I'm not afraid anymore. No way. I love my devil. His name is Pan.